Sweet mother of mercy, the Denver Broncos OTA was open to the media today, and the highlights coming out of it just get you out of your chair excited. Several forgotten players are looking to be breakout players. We have news about how Bo Nix looked and who he was taking snaps with today. That and so much more in this video. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ben. I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan. If you like the Broncos too, it truly helps me out a ton if you would like this video and subscribe. So let's dive into what we learned today, the end of this OTA period. And so the first thing that we see is that Greg Dulcich, who all of us have all of our hopes in, all of our eggs are in that basket. We remember when that 12th overall pick was there were a lot of people saying, hey, get Brock Bowers, the tight end. Sean Payton's offense needs a tight end, and that is very, very true. Sean Payton's offense indeed needs a tight end, and we all had our hopes that Greg Dulcich was coming back after an injury. He was not an injury-prone player at any point in his career and never struggled with that, and yet today he is still hurt with a foot injury, although Sean Payton thinks that he will be back before training camp. So he expects him to just be practicing on that little side field, which is reserved to those who are injured. But what is coming out is that Lucas Krull, tight end, played for Pittsburgh and like the University of Pittsburgh, also played for Florida. Then he was with the Saints, and then right before that Buffalo Bills game, he was signed onto our team, and he was actually, even though he had been on the team for like 3 days, played 20 snaps in that Buffalo game. And you remember he had a streak where he was wide open running, and Russell Wilson had no snaps or reps with him and didn't even see him wide open, kind of running like he ran a dig and then faded to the post, was wide open for a touchdown. But I've been really high on him. It actually was my first video on this channel that did fairly well. I think it got like 30,000 of y'all watched it, which was awesome. And I broke down just like how high I was on him then, just looking at him as a physical specimen. He maps out, looks exactly like Travis Kelce, has an incredible catch radius, and all reports today from OTAs are that he looks incredible. So while the news about Greg Dulcich being hurt or maybe injured, my hope is he's back and he's tight end one going into this. But if not, I expect us to see a lot more of Lucas Krull this year. I think he's going to have the entire offseason to learn that playbook. Tight end is one of the positions that's hardest in the league to learn, and you hear that time and again in that they have to learn the entire route tree of a wide receiver, but then they also have to learn all of the run blocking schemes of an offensive lineman, and so it really is a difficult position to master. And the fact that he came in, you even remember, do you remember Russ's jump ball that when we had 4 chances to beat the Texans and we were on the 10-yard line, that interception that ended with Russell Wilson, it was a heave to Lucas Krull in the end zone, and he really had out-jumped the dude, but it was an underthrown ball. So very, very high on him, and you see that today, that he's got the size and the speed and the hands to be a complete and total mismatch. And you actually hear Sean Payton in his press conference. I'll let it breathe here for a sec.
From him, and what's your vision for
him? Man, I thought he's had a good week. And I said, if you didn't notice, everyone in the media was looking down at the rosters to see who 85 was. And I said, someday soon they're going to know who 85 is.
So everyone in the media, who's this Lucas Krull guy? He looks great with his shirt off. Is it Luke or is it Lucas? Who is this guy? And Sean Payton says, pretty soon, nobody's going to have to ask who is Lucas Krull. I remember when the same thing happened with Julius Thomas. And I won my fantasy league that year because I scooped him up off of that fantasy roster because I heard how he was balling out of control at OTAs, at training camp. And so keep our eyes on that. Absolutely. We see Sarah Bettinger, who's with Predominantly Orange and does Lockdown Broncos, talking about the same thing here, that he was catching all of he was running the whole route tree. He's a willing and able blocker, and I don't think he is Travis Kelce. That's a lot of hope to throw on him, but let's keep our eyes peeled on that. Next thing that we see is another player who I think is going to just be an absolute stud on this offense is Marvin Mims. We remember Sean Payton saying that part of the reason we moved on from Jerry Jeudy was because we had Marvin Mims in the wing, who made the Pro Bowl as a rookie, who had incredible speed, who Jerry Jeudy was just taking snaps away from him, because when you draft a receiver in the first round, he needs all the snaps he can get, and they played a very similar position. But man, just looking at his fluidity and this chemistry that's already out there, just look at, that is a more complex route than he was used to running. And as a rookie, he was really good at like a fly route, he could just fly down the field, but corners knew, like this guy knows a couple routes, which are quick little screens and something like that. We remember it was like his ability to really just do those couple routes where in that Chargers game, Russell Wilson threw an interception, and it actually wasn't Russ's fault. I think it was Marvin Mims' fault, but the corner was able to bite on it because he knew Marvin Mims is going to run a fly or he's going to run a little screen pass there. Now you just see even with this little shifty footwork there that he is developing there, and look out for that. Other big things that we just see is this chemistry, this sense of chemistry that I've said time and time again that I think Sean Payton is building. The fact that he's got this whole thing as anonymous donors, no individual Broncos tweeting out pictures or making it about themselves, because he has got that entire team built up and has established a culture of winning. All the streaks that he broke last year, the streaks of losing to Buffalo, we were almost 500. We're in the playoff hunt until Christmas Eve. He really has changed the culture. And we see that even with Josh Reynolds coming out and saying that as he was deciding where he wanted to go and make that free agent decision, he chose the Broncos because of Peyton Manning, because of Sean Payton. And I think we can't look past that I'm not just hyping him up, that truly teams or players are starting to come here because of that. Zach Wilson said the exact same thing as to why he wanted to be traded to the Denver Broncos and made that trade happen with the New York Jets. It's because he believes in Sean Payton. And so if the players are believing it, they're showing us they believe in it by how they're talking about this team. The fact that they're following the guidelines and rules Sean Payton's established really is a very, very good sign. See Brandon Jones, who's stepping into the shoes that were left for him by Justin Simmons, come out and say that there's like a college type vibe in this locker room, which a college type vibe, it's like they're not independent contractors. There's a culture of winning and they're all about it. And part of that is he's joining a bunch of his former Texas Longhorn teammates, and we should be excited about that as well. So the biggest news of the day is that Bo Nix was taking snaps with a 1. Now, a lot of people are like tweeting, don't read too much into this because Bo Nix was with the 2s yesterday and the 3s the day before. So Sean Payton gave Jarrett Stidham number 1 reps with the starting offensive line, starting wide receivers, day 1 of OTAs, and then Zach Wilson had day 2 and Bo Nix had day 3. But I think we should read into this because Sean Payton is the most intentional person on the planet, and he doesn't do things accidentally. He didn't accidentally line up these reps to be on the only day that the media could be there filming. And so to me, this is showing he doesn't have to worry about putting pressure on Bo Nix. He wants all those snaps out there. He wants us to be drooling about watching that, and he wants us talking about that. If he didn't believe in Bo Nix or thought, oh man, this isn't the guy we thought, he would try to hide that. And why not give Jarrett Stidham the number 1 reps on the days the media are there? We know Sean Payton is intentional with all the decisions he makes. That's why we didn't hear about an Achilles injury to our former 3rd-round pick, Drew Sanders, for an entire month after it happened. He just does everything by design, and there's nothing accidental about when Bo Nix got the starting snaps. And so I think we should read a lot into it. And just looking at all of the talks about his lack of arm talent are just like drastically overhyped. And you just watch the ball is popping out of his hands here, and everyone was there saying he's slinging it, like absolutely slinging it. And that arm talent is there. That ball is zipping in there. And I think we should all have very high hopes for him because, man, look, that ball is good. It's where it should be. It's not lingering. It's not fluttering. It's coming out fast. And I think the other part is even if he is lacking in arm talent, even if he doesn't have the laser rocket arm that Paxton Lynch had, when we won our last Super Bowl, it was Peyton Manning coming off neck injuries, unable to feel his hand. And those were some of the ugliest looking throws in the air, but they always got where they needed to go because he made adjustments at the line and he beat the team with his head. And that is exactly what our coach's son, Bo Nix, is going to be doing. He's going to read defenses and, the ball just looks like it is popping out of there, and we should be extremely, extremely excited. Just like looking that cross body throw on the run there, like that's dirty, man. Like, when does that happen in a game? I'm not exactly sure, but we see him taking snaps in shotgun and then again snaps under center. And with hearing about Lucas Krull, with thinking about his chemistry he already has with Troy Franklin, I don't think our hopes can be too high. There is zero chance that the Denver Broncos win only the 5.5 games that people are projecting us to. I think with this talented roster that we have, with Sean Payton being able to actually run his offense, I think that 7 games is our floor. Our ceiling, if Bo Nix plays like I think he can, I think we win 11 games. And Broncos Country, it's time to believe. Just not in my jump shooting ability.